Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Alex, the architect for Back4App, and today we're starting a brand new series that we'll go through this week, and we will call it Real-Time Week. So from today until Friday, we're going to have one daily video showing one feature about real-time data delivery using Flutter. So if you have a Flutter front end for your app and you have your app in Back4App, this is a very good series because we will approach all the aspects of real-time data delivery, making your app much more responsive to the end user. So I hope you follow along and hope you like this content. And we are going from the very basics of it. So from the very early setup of your app and project all the way to consuming the real-time data that is delivered to your front end. So today we're going to start on how to set up your app on the server side and on the client side. So to illustrate that, I created this brand new app in Back4App. It's a totally new app. I don't have any data in it yet. And this is probably what you're going to see when you create your first app in Back4App. So here what you have to do is to enable the live query features, which translates to real-time data delivery. We do that by going to App Settings, Server Settings, scrolling all the way down to Server URL and Live Query, click Settings, and in here you have to activate your Back4App subdomain. So the subdomain name must be unique among all our users. So if you're trying to use a name that has been used for another user or perhaps another app of yours, you won't be able to save it. So you have to try a few times until you find a subdomain name that works for you. So I already used the real-time week once, so I'm going to actually have a number 2, TWO here. So my subdomain name will be realtimeweek2.b4a.io. Also, you have to check the activate live query feature and subscribe to the classes that you have. As this is a brand new class, I only subscribe to my user class, which is the only class I have available because it was created by default. But during the series, we are going to create new classes and consume data from those classes as well. So if those boxes are unchecked, you have to check it and then check once again for the classes that you want to deal with real data time delivery. So click save. This takes a couple of seconds. And this is everything that I have to do from the server side. Now let's go to our application. I have here my Visual Studio open, and we're going to start by creating a brand new Flutter project. We do that by typing Flutter, create, and then putting in the project name. I'm going to call this Real-Time Week. Hit enter. This takes a couple of seconds as Flutter creates all the files that I need there for my project. And with that done, we can go to this icon here, and open my project. So open folder, it's on my desktop, and here we have real-time. Open. Yes, I trust the authors. And also I'm going to need a terminal from here, so new terminal, there you go. And the first thing we have to set up in here is to open our Pubspec.yml file and set up our SDK. So here is my Pubspec.yml, not to confuse with the Pubspec.log. We don't want the .log file, we want the .yml file. Double click it, and here it is. And we're going to look for our dependencies keyword. And here's the catch. YAML files are very sensitive to formatting, so you have to ensure you put it with only 2 spaces prior to the SDK name, as it follows along with the Flutter underline test keywords. So here I'm going to hit enter to create a new line and put only 2 spaces in here. So 1, 2, and then I can start typing. So we'll have to type parts underline server underline SDK underline Flutter, 2 points, and then we have to specify the versions that you want to use. I'll be using the latest one that we have today as I record this video, which is 3.10, but I want my project to automatically update this SDK version if new versions are released. So we are going to put this symbol here. This means that it will use any SDK which is the newest after the one that I put here. And then I can put 3.1.0, so it will use 3.1.0 or anything above it if it is available. Then I'm going to save this file. And now it's time for us to let Flutter to download the SDK and install everything for me. With that, by typing flutter.pub space pub and space get. Hit enter. This takes a couple of seconds as it will download and install everything that I need. And it's now done. So now we can start instantiating our SDK and setting it up. We'll do that inside our lib folder in here and inside our main.dart file. So I'm going to double click it so it will open, and we'll start by importing our SDK. So here we will type import. This will take a string, and in here we will put package, 2 points, and then we'll put parse underline server SDK underline flutter slash parse underline server underline SDK dot dart. Save it, and now I have access to all the features of my SDK. It's now time for us to set up our app, so the SDK will identify into our servers which is your app. We will do that inside our void main function. I'm going to make this async because we will have async calls, and in here we will have 3 main values that we have to set prior to initializing. It is the app ID or application ID, which identifies your application among all the applications that are available. The client key, which is kind of a password for your application to be operable through the SDK, and the server URL, which points to the server where your application is hosted. So we're going to create 3 string values in here. The first one is const key application ID, which is a string, then const key client key, which is also a string, and finally const key parse server URL, which is also a string. And from all the strings, the only one that will never change is the server URL because you're pointing to Backfrap. So in here we'll put https 2 slashes and parse api.backfrap.com. All the other values are available in our app. So back to our app, if you go to security and keys under app settings, you'll find your application ID. I'm going to copy this value here and paste it in here, and also the client key that I'm going to copy and paste in here. And I see it broke a line here which we don't want, so hit the backspace, and there you go. Now after these strings we can start initializing our code, and there is some more information that we will need, but I'll show you in just a second. So in order to initialize, we're going to make an async call to parse.initialize, and in here we are going to pass a few values. The first one is our application ID, so key application ID, comma, and key parse server URL, which is the URL for our servers, comma, once again. Then we are going to put our client key as a JSON object, so client key 2 points, and then key client key, comma. Then we have to pass in our sparse or live query URL, which is the value that we just set in the dashboard. We do that by typing live query URL. This is also a JSON property. Back to my dashboard, we're going to go to server settings, scroll down to server URL and live query, and I'm going to copy this value here. And remember, it ends with a .b4a.io. So in here, I'm going to paste this value, .b4a.io. And this uses a WebSocket call, so I have to put the protocol as well. We do that by, in the very beginning, put WSS and 2 slashes, and then we're good to go. And there is one more key I want to put in here, which is the debug as true. So we'll have some debug information along with our project. And that's all we have to do in order to set up your Flutter project to use real-time data delivery. So if you found this video helpful, please click the like button and consider subscribing to the channel so you can help us grow. Also share this link with a friend and they can learn something too. If you're already subscribed, thank you for that. And if you have any questions or suggestions, please leave it on the comment section down below. We always answer all the questions. I hope this content was useful to you and hope to see you through all this series. Remember, we'll have one video per day until Friday. So I hope you enjoy this and I hope to see you back. See you soon. Bye bye.